Rutherford Issues with Bryan Barrett on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
Rutherford Issues, powered by Middle Tennessee Electric through Sharing Change. MTE has donated, get this, over $11 million to local nonprofits. Round up your bill. You know, if it's something in 86 cents, we'll share your change, and it makes a big difference here in our community. Find out more at sharingchange.org. Someone who doesn't share change, he's stingy as you can get. State Representative Mike Sparks is in studio.
I am pretty tight, but I applaud you for this sharing change, because that was an issue that the AG took up. Someone requested an AG's opinion, so they had to, because it used to be automatic. They just round you up. But anyways, I do it. I mean, the most you're going to pay is what, $11.99 in a year, right? If my math's correct. I mean, odds are that's never going to happen. But that's the most you'd ever pay.
What, 99 cents for 12 months?
No, $11.99. If your bill was $100 and a penny, then it'd be 99 cents. Am I right?
99 cents. Right.
Yeah, you're going to pay per month. But the odds of that ever happening is what? Slim to none.
And multiply that by 12, and it's $11.88. I knew you had Smyrna math going on, but
I knew it was close. No, it really is a good program. Jimmy Taylor, remember Admiral Jimmy Taylor? Mm-hmm. He passed about 2 years ago. Great guy. He headed up the Blue Angels back in the day, and I think he was consultant on the film set of first Top Gun, if I'm not mistaken. But I remember him bringing it up to me at Rotary about that AG's opinion, and at the time, I didn't really know what he was talking about, but he was talking about, I think he was on the board that decides the monies that can go to local nonprofits. But I agree with you, man. If folks can round up, it's a good program.
So let's see. Did you go to the air show this weekend?
Man, I didn't go over there this year.
I think about it, and then I think there are 10,000 people, all the side roads. I mean, it's... I don't know how Smyrna does it.
Weekly Lane was packed.
How do you have to get around it?
Well, my in-laws live out there, and I was selling. I had a trailer of all things. I had it for about 20 years. I bought me a new trailer for the lawnmower, and I was having to meet a guy, and the 9th Avenue, man, they had it all backed up, and no one was directing traffic. Fire truck finally come through. He was able to get through, but he was coming from like Faith Sanders area, but. Mm-hmm. That area, there's always a bad, anybody that knows Weekly Lane, Couchville Pike, it's probably one of the most dangerous roads in the county. And
I thought that was Jefferson Pike.
Well, Jefferson Pike looks great. Have you seen Jefferson? Man, it looks great. It's really nice. It's still dangerous when you get into the, Las Casas and some of those areas, Walter Hill. But there's always, in the summertime, there's always something going on the lake. There's always, it's like weekly. There's a bad accident in those curves, but now I stayed away from the air show, and did get to hang out on that Memphis C-17 for a little bit, and then the KC-155 here about a month ago, discussing the 118th moving to Smyrna, which is a huge deal for Smyrna. I think it's a $400 million investment. I believe $1.93 billion economic impact by 2025, if I'm not mistaken.
Why do they want them out of Nashville?
Well, they're expanding the airport. Have you seen that new interchange, by the way, 40? What they call it?
I avoid
not
Nashville.
Clover. It's some term they use, cloverleaf or something. But boy, it really, from the aerial view with News Channel 5, man, it looks pretty extraordinary.
So they're at the John Toon Airport. Is that right, or is it?
No, they're in Nashville.
At the Nashville,
the 118th.
Well, John Toon is in Nashville too.
So
they're at the Nashville International Airport.
Yeah, but that if anybody's been through there in a while, it's like just picking up somebody. It's because you can't stop. I mean, they won't let you. If you stop, man, they're going to move you on. So sometimes I've given people rides home, or and you'll get backed up. That place is rocking and rolling, man.
So when is that supposed to happen?
They wanted to change the name to, was it Trump International? Remember that?
And then it was going to be Dolly Parton International.
I mean, wasn't my bill,
You sign on to it.
Man, you shouldn't put me on the spot. I remember.
You did, didn't you?
I did, because the guy kept bugging me, man. He just kept bugging me, and I kept trying to avoid it. And I knew it wasn't going to go nowhere. And, like I've been told, you got to pick your battles. I knew it wasn't going to go nowhere. But you remember the time that, they're talking about the Nathan Bedford Forrest bust, and one of the lawmakers said he had a suggestion to change it to the Dolly Parton bust. You remember that? I don't think he thought about it when he was saying it. And I thought, it's most people would be for it. You know what I mean?
Be a lot of photos taken by it.
It really would. Everybody. One thing about Dolly Parton, I doubt if there's one person that hates on her.
Have you ever heard anybody say
no? Everybody loves
words?
her. It's. Everybody just loved. I remember my mom. She loved her. Everybody loved her. But it was funny. I had that bill when I had that bill making Amazing Grace a official state hymn. It was written by a slave ship captain, so I put in there John Newton and and how he influenced William Wilberforce and wrote the hymn, and so it's very politically incorrect. And I kind of done it on purpose to get people to think about their history, to get people to think, because there's history, there's good, the bad, the ugly, And I asked my assistant, Marvin, young African-American, great young man, he's in law school. I said, who is it that everybody loves? It's not Kid Rock. It's not Waylon Jennings. He says, Dolly Parton. So the idea for the bill was the official state hymn for Tennessee will be Amazing Grace, sung by Dolly Parton. And that was Marvin's idea. And a lady I know is friends with Dolly. She's helped her on, she's a filmmaker. And she said, hey, I talked to Dolly about it. She loves the idea. Man, she's going to come to the studio and record it. And it was probably 2 days later we got a message back, hey, they're wanting to back off this. And so we just, but I told Marvin, if this goes south, I'm going to throw you under the bus. Like, it's your fault. You know what I mean? He's the scapegoat. But I thought it was cute, a young African-American male saying, everybody loves Dolly Parton.
Well, now, the phone rang, and I think I remember you saying that we had someone that was calling.
Tim Leeper, if Tim Leeper Roofing, if that's Tim. Tim, is that you?
That's me.
All right.
How you doing?
I'm good, guys. How are y'all?
Doing really good. So, Mike, what are your thoughts here?
We had a piece of legislation that came through. It was Representative Clark Boyd's bill, and it was really kind of bringing awareness to Core Civic, Trousdale County. We've had a lot of complaints from citizens that's had a son or a cousin or nephew or something.
They had a riot out there recently.
Yeah, and I've tried to bring awareness to the shortage of correctional officers. In fact, I said it on the House floor under my mentorship bill, and we were down at one time. We were down 1,000 correctional officers. I think the latest report. Now that's been a couple months. TDOC got it to me. I think it was 575 that we were short. So Tim, just go ahead and tell your story, because you're really an advocate for reforms, trying to help some of these guys that need some direction. But tell your story, Tim.
I'll do it. And my son was in the prison system, and we, kid grew up. Give you the abbreviated version is we grew up in church and playing ball and coaching his ball teams, Bible drill, Bible camp, vacations, snow skiing, bass fishing. All those things. Had a normal childhood, by any stretch, and then just over time he began to exhibit impulsive behavior, and that impulsive behavior gave way to him getting into the judicial system, and then he just couldn't walk that straight and narrow that probation parole requires, and so eventually he found himself in the prison system. And then fast forward to Trousdale, the one that just rioted not long ago, and and I'll tell you, the week he got there, he got stabbed, but we knew we had problems then. And then once he began to, be scared and anxious, and he was not one to be scared and anxious. He had navigated gangs before. He had navigated, the drug culture in there. He had navigated all these things and just stayed off the radar. But there's some times that you just can't get away from it. So he died of a fentanyl overdose from a pill-pressed Valium, and that's been October of 23, and I started Kylan's Light. Kylan, his first name, and Light, to shine a light on our broken correction system, including private prisons, because we can't have a correction system that focuses on rehabilitation, reintegration, and giving dignity to our offenders so that they can be better than what they were. They have to believe that, and we just don't have that in Tennessee. Until we get rid of privatization, we'll never be able to move in that direction.
So you mentioned, and this is Bryan, Tim, you mentioned that it was a Valium pressed pill, whatnot, with fentanyl.
Yes.
And was that through the prison system? Did that come into the prison system?
It came in through the staff, and that's how the drugs get in Trousdale. And the reason I know that, I can say that with authority, is because we have I hired a private investigator and spent a lot of money, because I'm sorry, I just don't trust the state to give me an honest answer when it comes to how my son died in prison. I just don't. They don't have the track record, and they haven't earned the people's trust out here. And what I have found since starting this nonprofit, Bryan, is the people that have lost loved ones or have been damaged by the correction system, our prison system in Tennessee, they don't have a voice. Nobody answers the phone. Nobody responds to their emails in a meaningful time. And when they do, it's to suppress them and say, okay, you're okay. Just trust us. We know what we're doing. Well, obviously we don't, because our Tennessee mortality rate for prisons is over 2 times the national average, and core civic prisons is almost 3 in Tennessee times the national average, and at times Trousdale has been 4 times the national average for prison mortality rate. Nobody trusts that. We don't trust when you come back to us as families who are bereaved and have lost loved ones having to plan funerals. We don't trust when you say trust us, because we'll take care of it.
And this is a private prison. Am I right about that?
Yeah, core civic. Mm-hmm.
It is.
Core civic. Okay. So this happened, 2 years ago to Kylan?
About a year and a half, in October of 2023.
Okay. What is the message? I mean, I know that you're shouting from the rooftops, but it sounds like there's not anyone listening. Maybe your thoughts on that.
Well, my hope is that people will see me not as shouting, but as calmly explaining as best as a bereaved father can why we are broken. And we have to at least acknowledge, that we have a problem. It's like an alcoholic. He can't get better until he acknowledges that there's a problem. And once we do that, we have to look honestly at privatization and say, okay, we are long overdue to have divested out of private prisons, because they are so much more dangerous than other prisons. There's so much more things that happen in those prisons, the lack of training compared to TDOC, who go to the Tennessee Corrections Academy down in Coffee County or wherever it is down there. It's a 6-week training course with drill instructors. And, you're getting at least structured training environment there. But we have a problem. All I'm asking for is, once we divest out of privatization, in which that is a big, hairy monster, I know.
Yes.
Can we at least bring back dignity, rehabilitative opportunities, and reintegration planning for these men? Because if they believe that they can do it, then they will work towards that. Men speak in the language of respect. And if you give respect, more times than not, you will get it back. And these men, if we're given the opportunity to have classes with life skills and coping skills to be different, to have impulse control, and to have meaningful rehabilitative forgiveness therapy type programs that have been tested in other parts of the country and work. If we were to give those men that, and they knew that they could come back a better version of themselves than they went in, I think that there are a large part of our prison population that would take it.
Is there no oversight?
Well, the General Assembly, there's oversight. But one thing I've said, and I've said it on this show and my show, is, when I look at all the lobbying that goes on, Tim, I've never had anybody come in the office that says, we have the largest prison population of any country on the face of the earth. Our prison budget's increased $400 million, amassing to about $1.4 billion. That's what I like about DOGE. Department of Government Efficiencies. Whether you like Elon or Trump or not, but you should like efficiencies, and the taxpayers, want us to be good stewards of the taxpayer dollars. And one thing I appreciate about you, Tim, is that, your passion is going to lead to change. I promise you, the death of your son is going to bring some light and shed some light on a growing problem, because it's not just you that I've heard from. I had one young man that he passed away, and I know the family, and it was drugs. And I remember the mom, Marvin, was helping the mother, and I remembered she wanted his clothes. The boy's name was Brantley. I won't say last name, Brantley. And I remember the boy in our Sunday school class when he was a little kid. I remember his father from high school, and we got the clothes back, or Marvin really did it, and she called my assistant and said, "Thank you so much. It was glad to just get to at least catch the scent of her son." So you're not alone in this fight. You may feel like you're alone, but just continue to meet with lawmakers and reach out. Channel 5, I think, gave you a really nice story, which really led to this show. And I don't know if you've reached out to other folks in the media as well, but it's a serious issue, man. I'm so sorry for your loss of Kyle.
Well, I appreciate that. And, when Bryan asked, was there no oversight, I want to say this, and not just because I'm talking to you, but this has been the reality that I've experienced. They used to have a prison oversight board that they did away with probably, 2011, 2012.
Yeah, I was going to say about
somewhere
14 years ago, yeah.
Okay. And so when they did away with that, basically, the end-all, be-all was the Tennessee Department of Corrections Commissioner, and they answered only to the governor. Now, here's the problem we have now. The governor's on his way out, and Governor Lee has gone on record numerous times saying that CoreCivic is a good partner, and so I'm not going to get any help there. We're not going to find any quarter there. The commissioner serves at the behest of the governor,
yes.
And so I'm not going to get any help there. The only place that I have found help has been our legislators. They have showed up, they have called, they have returned my emails, and they are the only accountability. They're kind of the line, holding the line for corrections to keep them in some sort of check, and right now they have an uphill battle. And I would just encourage the next governor of the state of Tennessee to choose the commissioner that they bring in wisely. I would be glad to give any insight that I have. Not that I have a ton, but I know just from loss, and I can't tell you the number of people that reach out to me on a daily basis that have not only lost children, but that have worked in these correctional facilities. And I get it multiple times a day, and they say, "Tim, I need you to call me. Have somebody call me. I have information that you will not believe, but I just can't have my name put out there because
yes.
They don't trust that they won't, smear their reputations or get them fired or any of those other things." So this goes so much deeper than we really think. And the ones holding it down and giving us an opportunity for accountability is our legislature. And I'm grateful for that, because these people who don't have a voice, I tell them over and over, share your story with your state reps and with your state senators.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if this is the right time, but, we do have a corrections town hall event coming up.
Yeah.
It's coming at Cumberland University on September the 9th, and we've got a number of state legislators and state senators. We got a former Tennessee Department of Corrections commissioner. They're all coming, and also we have people who have been incarcerated. We've had families who have lost children to our prison system that want to voice their concerns, and they want to see change. And that's when change happens, is when people have said, this is enough. not one more day and not one more child needs to die needlessly, because the deaths that we're seeing are mostly, by and large, preventable because of an apathetic system that is desensitized to death and human suffering.
Well, very enlightening, Tim. And the website, by the way, to find out more, Kylan's Light, KYLANSLIGHT.org. And I'm going to put a link to that on our website as well on the podcast here. And, thanks for speaking out and bringing this to the attention of our listeners and viewers here in Rutherford County.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up here, Mike, got like 30 seconds, but man, what a tragedy.
Well, I could share other stories, but they may not want me to share it. I went through TDLC's Academy. I think I'm the only lawmaker that's went through TDLC's Academy, TBI's Academy, went through the Sheriff's Academy twice. But, we're down. We're having a hard time getting correctional officers. I mean, you see the billboards. $5,000 sign-on bonus, $6,000 a year. It's just hard.
Apparently you have to give drugs to inmates.
Well, and then that happens. Yeah. I mean, it's like, who wants to work in that environment? So it's a serious. I mean, Tim is right. It has reached an apex of the problem. So, I
and you think about that there was a riot there. Well,
luckily them guys didn't get killed.
Right.
But
I'm not saying that is the best answer. But is that reactionary into what they have to go through and live through every day? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
You hear riot and inmates, and you automatically think, well, they're the ones that are wrong. And I'm not saying that they're right, but I'm also saying that we don't know the full story about what's happening there.
Yes. I mean, my hat goes off to those folks working in that industry. It's a rough job.
All right. Well, I guess we'll talk soon. Don't forget Conversations with Mike Sparks and friends. You always have friends.
I have a few.
It's the same one. So, but you can listen to that show 5 o'clock every Sunday night right here on WGNS 101.9, 100.5, WGNSradio.com.